Okay, this is Arvita Shuddhanam Bhajan with Acharyas. Okay, so what we have discussed so far, the glories of Harinam, how Harinam is unique in all angas of bhakti, and how every anga of bhakti is actually meant to bring us to that samkirtana, total kirtan or perfect kirtan or wholesome kirtana. And I have to add a hope, a beautiful thing that I've read recently during the study of Sikshashtakamis. This Samkirtana, the perfect Kirtana, actually starts happening even in the very, when I'm saying the first verse of Sikshashtakam, I know I said that also yesterday repeatedly, Nam Namakari, because from that, it's actually a second verse in the Sikshashtakam. But in the Japa journey, that's the first verse. And that's what I meant when I said first verse, and I was saying Nam Namakari. So, yeah, with the very first verse itself, once we know what the aparadas are, and to the proportion of how we are able to cut down the aparadas to that amount, we will see that the kirtan is really becoming some kirtan. So such great hope even in the very beginning, a little glimpse of that is given to us. Just wanted to mention that to you. We don't have to wait until the very end, the 8th verse of Sikshashtakam. It actually starts, a droplet of that starts in the very beginning itself. Very encouraging, very encouraging. Yeah, so that's the unique thing about the Harinam, that limb of bhakti. And after that, we have discussed about how we are all in the nectarian ocean of devotion. But in the beginning stages, we may be just in the superficial stage, where there can be turbulences and disturbances because of the modes of ignorance and passion. Then it looks like we may be practicing bhakti, but it can be bhakti aparada, where we are hurting others, or bhakti abhasa. Looks like a beautiful gift box, like bhakti in good mode of goodness, but there is no actual substance of Sharanagati there yet. That we have discussed. And our next question was, okay, if I see myself in a very superficial stage, what can I do to get to a more deeper, steadier stage of bhakti or japa? As is our bhakti, so will be our japa. So japa inside will be equal to bhakti outside. Okay. So what can we do to get our japa better or bhakti better, so we can be situated in at a more deeper platform and a steadier platform? Like in the ocean, it gets more steady and more calm as we go deeper. So what can we do to get there? First of all, when we see ourselves that we are turbulent because of the modes, the pushings and pullings like that in the superficial levels, instead of getting disheartened and disappointed, first thing we want to remember is we want to be grateful. Still be grateful. Though it is bhakti in the initial stages and immature stages and incomplete stages, we still want to be grateful because we are in the ocean of devotion. We are not in the material ocean. So that's the first thing we want to remember. Be grateful, grateful, and grateful. Okay, that is good. What to do next to get better? Coming to that point, there are certain things that we can do, in our bhakti that is outside japa. And the other things that can do, this is in the japa, before japa. So these things, if we do these things, this is outside japa, that is bhakti, and inside japa, that is japa. If we are able to do these things, we'll go over those two charts very quickly. If we are able to do those two things, with enthusiasm. And we have to have patience. We will be busy doing, when we are busy doing with enthusiasm, we will automatically be patient actually. Because we are already sincerely putting the effort and we know we are doing it, so we will be patient. And we just continue doing it. That's determination. So that, this is, like a train track thing. One track has to go on like that, the sadhana bhakti, being grateful that at least we are in the path of bhakti, and doing something inside the japa and certain things outside the japa with enthusiasm, patience, and determination. The other track is, so that track that we are following is sadhana bhakti, doing certain things, doing those things favorable, not doing that's not that are not favorable. So do's and don'ts, that is sadhana bhakti. That is one track of the one train track. That's one thing. And the other thing that we also want to do simultaneously is to hear from the pure devotees, get the acharya sangha. Yeah, and this is also equally important. Very important, equally important. Sometimes it's just unfortunate that we don't get to know this second track that we have to follow. So in that case, we may see ourselves doing sadhana bhakti for so many years, but still faith might have gotten a little better, but there will be no taste yet in bhakti. And we cannot really last very long if we don't develop that ruchi in bhakti. And that ruchi can be obtained by the association of these acharyas, acharya sangha. So these two are the tracks. Okay. Now let's come to this sadhana bhakti. What are those things that we have to do with enthusiasm? These are the things that we have discussed. So when we say inside japa, then that is 2 hours of japa. Okay. And when we say outside japa, that's the rest of 22 hours. That's bhakti in practice. Okay. So this is for outside the japa, bhakti in practice. So Bhagavad Gita is guiding us. It is giving us certain milestones. If we are heading that way, then we are at least practicing bhakti in mode of goodness. So these are our, I would say, this is a short-term goal to get our bhakti to at least mode of goodness. That's one of the train track to get it to the goodness, while we do parallelly, acharya sangha on the other side. So since it is sadhana bhakti, there are do's and don'ts. Whenever we feel, these are do's and don'ts in our attitude, in our speech, in our mind, body, and some professional goals, etc. That would be helpful for us, whoever is working. So this is some help that we can get, not just help, this is actually guidance from Bhagavad Gita, from the chapters explaining the modes. That's 14, 16, 17, and 18. More of 17 and 18. So this is Gita guidance for bhakti in goodness. When we see ourselves, when we catch ourselves complaining or resentful, unhappy, then we want to get the guidance from Gita and shift the gears to being grateful. See that our cup is half full, not half empty. It's the same life, but it depends upon how we perceive it. All of our lives are both half full and half empty, most of us. But it is our choice of how we want to look at it. Bhakti is the same thing too. If we don't change our attitude from looking things from a positive perspective, then we are not heading towards bhakti in goodness. It is a volunteer decision that we have to make. That has to be clear. Of course, we get the guidance from the scriptures, and we get the desire to do so with the when we get the association of the devotees. But we have to be willing to shift our gaze to positive from negative. And Bhagavad Gita says that is the shift from lower modes to higher mode. That is goodness. So what we are is what we make for ourselves. Yeah, in bhakti, this is a volunteer decision. Again, when we do the Harinam and do the satsang, that will give us the inspiration and strength to get to goodness, to get better. But still, we have to be willing to get better. All right. So on that note, all these are don'ts. If you see the list here, these are all negative attitude. And here do is all positive. We want to be grateful to whatever we are given in bhakti, to the people around. All of us are a package deal. We have positives and negatives with the families, with the friends around. But we want to look at the positive side, yeah, and be grateful. Grateful, be patient, enthusiastic, determination. This patience, enthusiasm, determination is Utsaha Nishchaya Dhairya by Rupa Goswami also. And whatever bhakti, how much ever bhakti we can practice, we want to practice it peacefully, one step at a time. We cannot become pure devotees overnight. We will just get to know what the path is, and one step at a time, peacefully. Bhakti has to be practiced peacefully. There is no rush. This is a life's time journey, no rush. So we have to do it peacefully under guidance, and we want to be respectful to everybody around. Family, friends also. Family too. And yeah, our dealings have to be sensitive to the best of our capability. And that's about the attitude. Regarding the speech, the beneficial, it has to be uplifting and beneficial to others. If possible, it can be gentle and not agitating, and truthful also. And sometimes for parents and teachers, it's not always possible to be gentle and not agitate them. We have to discipline sometimes. But on the whole, as long as it is beneficial to the other person, then it is in the mode of goodness. Then mind, satisfaction, same thing. Wherever we are in bhakti, we are grateful, no problem, satisfied. At the same time, there is a balance. We don't want to complain. We are grateful to where we are in bhakti. At the same time, we want to be enthusiastic to see what can be done to get better. So the balance between satisfied and enthusiasm, in between that comes the patience. So that is the balancing point. And gravity, simplicity. Simplicity in thought. It's like not thinking something in the mind and doing and saying something different in the mind. It's just very complicated. That is not mode of goodness. Mind in mode of goodness is we have to think clear, and what we are inside should reflect outside. That's mind, simplicity in thought, and gravity also in mind, not jumping here and there, but having some gravity in thought. And please know, satisfaction is really, this is the mode of goodness, characteristic of mind in mode of goodness, satisfaction, not complaining. Self-control is also in mode of goodness. And we're coming with the body. Our body is of some use when it is of some service. to the deities, to the devotees, and people around. And of course, we want to keep it clean, especially when it comes to the deity service. And maintaining this body with simplicity and celibacy. These two things will help us not get caught up on a bodily platform. And professionally, we want to, strike that balance. Of course, if we have to work, yes, we have to work, but we don't want our work to disturb our sadhana. So that balance has to be there. Our purpose of life should not be disturbed with our professional life. Sometimes the deadlines can be there, but if our decisions are made keeping that in mind, not minimizing bhakti, giving the place that it needs. In other words, sadhana should not be disturbed. So that is one guidance for the professionals. So this is all about how we can get our bhakti to goodness from ignorance and passion. Yeah, at least to goodness. So this will be a full-time job for us. The whole day, everyday job for us. Whenever the gears go into this, these are the default modes for us. Then we have to constantly change the gears. But please remember, whenever we have to change the gear, we want to say, okay, thank you, Krishna, for making me realize that it is on the other gear. Okay, please, Krishna, let me be on a positive gear so I can see a smile on your face. So we want to do it for Krishna, not just to feel accomplished. Oh, I'm doing bhakti in mode of goodness. I am so much better now. I am advanced. That can be a trap. That can be a trap. So each time we do it, then we want to Krishnaize it. And then thank. There'll be ample opportunity to thank. Each time we see that we got a little better, then we want to say, thank you, Krishna, for getting me a little closer to you. If we are disturbed inside, then Lord Krishna cannot really sit in our heart. He can sit only in a stable place, peaceful place. So at least for his sake, we want to be not disturbed inside. We want to be peaceful and not agitated. Otherwise, it will not be too comfortable for him to sit inside our heart. So this is bhakti for goodness. Okay. And now coming to the next chart. If this is what we can do outside the japa, that is 22 hours, what can we do inside the japa so our japa can get better? That's the next topic. Two things. Remove distractions. Krishna is everything. Okay, we'll go to the table directly. This I've just put it in a PowerPoint. Okay, remove distractions and Krishna is everything. Let's see how we can do that. Now we are sitting for japa. Okay, this is just before japa. Generally, these things, they can just take a time like that, a snap, a moment. In 1 minute, we can just get ourselves ready and then start japa. Initially, it may take time for some. Please see what you feel comfortable. But in general, it should just take a minute or so to get ourselves gathered and then start japa. Okay. In any case, there is no right or wrong for this, right or wrong way in doing this. Sometimes, please try. Get this grounding going even before going to bed. And as soon as you wake up, as you get ready, then the grounding should start. We should look forward for the japa. Not that we sit and then we can, start doing it. It doesn't have to be that way. Doesn't have to be that way. As soon as we wake up, then just that positive looking forward to japa, that itself is a grounding. Yeah, when we are looking forward to. So when we are looking forward to something, then we don't really want distractions, right? That's one thing. And when we are looking forward to Krishna, Lord Krishna in Harinam, we don't want distractions, number one. And number two, we want to Krishnaize everything around. So we can be quickly with the Harinam. So this is two things can help us in this grounding with the body. Yeah, physically. First, Krishnizing everything. Okay. Really, please try this. Acknowledge when you sit for japa. Again, it may just take a few seconds only. But just the thought, okay, Krishna. This is all based on Bhagavad Gita. What all we are talking about grounding, I didn't put the slokas and references here just to keep it simple, but everything is based on Bhagavad Gita. So, body, Krishna, this body is yours. Okay, I Krishnized it, and then we have to stop the distractions from this body. And even from this body, before getting to this body, the cell phone distraction has to go away. So, cell phone out of our japa room, not anywhere close by. I mean, if we need to, especially when we have to do the japa, only when needed. After that, it goes aside. That is minimizing distraction. And after the cell phone thing, we want to sit in a place where we are not distracted. So a room where you can close the door. Okay. And so those are physically, we are stopping, we are preventing the distractions. Yeah. To a room that is quiet and close the door. Okay. That's one. Next, please hear. No hearing classes or kirtan. This will be a distraction. When it is japa only. And especially when we are doing japa on the phone, for the beginners, and for some reason, if you're falling asleep or if you need some inspiration or so, if turning up the volume of the lead chanter helps you to do japa, you do it. Otherwise, then minimize the volume, then put the phone aside and you hear only your japa, your voice. This is what is recommended. Only our voice, our japa. This is how japa should be done. Okay, in general. So not hearing any other kirtans also, please remember, and no katha. In other words, in the temple room or anywhere, we do not do our regular quota of japa. I don't even feel like calling regular quota japa, but our 16 rounds that we want to do, we really want to do it exclusively in a place where there is no disturbance and no kirtan going around or no class. We don't chant during the class or in the kirtan. It will be disrespectful for the both Harikada and also japa. We should step out and do the japa outside. Okay. But sometimes the life gets so hectic and we want to do our 16 rounds and there is no quiet time around. We are somewhere and we don't have time, then we do the japa. At least we can keep the Harinam vow going. Those are exceptional cases, but these should be the regular way of doing japa, serving Harinam. And regarding the posture, you may hear so many things about the posture, but the bottom line is our body has to be comfortable so it doesn't distract us from the Harinam. Sometimes the comfortable posture can be, yes, sitting upright. Awesome, very good. But after 1 hour, it aches and pains. What would you do? Then stretch your legs. Comfortable. And if somebody is sick, what would they do? They can't even sit. Then just lie down because that's a comfortable posture. But we also want to make sure, comfortable and alert posture. Comfortable and alert. I'm unable to edit here now. I'm going to edit it later. But comfortable and alert. Okay. That should be our posture. Done. That's about the body. Okay. We are comfortable. We are alert. We are not distracted and sitting in a closed room. And there's no noise that is distracting around. And yes, we have Krishnaized our body. Done. It took this long to go over and describe these things. But when we actually do it, it would not take even a minute. Okay. In mind, how to minimize the distractions of the mind. This is during Japa. When the Harinam is happening, when we are chanting, before actually, this is even before Japa, during Japa, we acknowledge that the mind is the Krishna's energy. This can be helpful just for a second if we just touch this thought and say, okay, mind, just observing the mind and say, okay, Krishna, this is yours. Body, Krishna, yes, this is yours. Mind, yes, Krishna, this is your energy. Intelligence, yes, Krishna, Sharanagati is the summit of intelligence. Taking shelter, complete shelter of this cooling Harinam, Krishna, is the summit of intelligence. Yeah. And ego is, yes, Krishna, I am your part and parcel. Mamaivam se jivaloke. I am yours, Krishna. I look forward to serve you. And surroundings and people around, yes, my whole self is yours. And of course, everything around me, everybody around me is also yours. And all this is your paraphernalia to bring pleasure to you. So Krishnizing everybody around, everything around. Just by Krishnizing each and everything here, body, mind, intelligence, ego, and surroundings, you will see that you have got rid of so many shackles around. You have cut so many shackles that would pull you from Harinam. So Krishnizing, it can be just done in a minute too, and less than a minute in few seconds also. Please see how it goes for you in the beginning, but it can be just done in seconds too. Krishnizing part is done, and regarding the distractions, we have gone through how to avoid physical distractions and how to avoid mental distractions. Please note, when we are chanting, when we are with Harinam, it's only Harinam and you. It's only Harinam and me. There is no planning, no checklist that should go on in our mind. No spiritual checklist or material checklist. Oh, I'm going to do this and this and this after Japa. Or this service, and that after Japa. No checklist. No mind jumping into the future. However tempting and spiritual that it may feel like or look like. No jumping in the future. That is a very, very unseeming trap, especially the spiritual talk, spiritual jumping of the mind. But we want to be with Harinam. There is nothing more beneficial and wonderful we would do in the future than being with Harinam now. So Harinam now should be the state of the mind. No material checklist, no spiritual checklist. No spiritual conversations in the mind with the people or with our own selves, and no material conversations also in the mind with ourselves or with the people. Okay. And no thinking about people. It is Harinam and you. It's Krishna and you. And no thinking about things. Again, it's just Lord Krishna. Harinam is giving you the time. his most valuable time, he's giving that to you. We cannot have Krishna in front of us and think about somebody else or something else. And we cannot have Lord Krishna come in front of us as a result of our prayer, and then we start thinking about our checklist of what to do after we're done with Krishna, right? That's how we feel like we are done with Harinam. So that we have to reform ourselves, definitely. This part, if only we can do this. Again, when we try to do this, we want to do it in a mode like, first of all, when we notice our mind is jumping into the future, again say, thank you, Krishna. Anything that happens, thank you, Krishna, for bringing that to my attention. Because the whole japa may happen without paying attention to that fact that mind has jumped somewhere and is planning and doing things in the future. So if we come to that awareness that mind has jumped somewhere, instead of being restless, instead of being very hard on yourself, and instead of being disheartened, say, thank you, Krishna, for bringing this to my attention. And now, please bring this mind to your Harina. So thank you and a prayer. 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 So even if the mind is jumping the whole time, 2 hours, we are still doing the thank you and a prayer. So thank you and a prayer is a lot of positive energy. And that too with Krishna is a lot of spiritual energy. Instead of that, if we beat ourselves up, if we get disheartened, hopeless, chanting gets very tiring. It gets dreadful. There's a lot of negative energy there. So that we have to be cautious. Yeah, mind will go initially until we get the ruchi of Harinam. It will wander. But each time it wanders, we want to make use of that opportunity. Say thank you, Krishna, and a prayer to Krishna. So we can be with Harinam. That's mind. And intelligence, yeah. This is during Japa, right? During Japa, intelligence is just, I am with, no, Lord Krishna. Krishna is with me. I am serving Krishna, period. Complete shelter of the holy name. Completely being with the Mahamantra is intelligence in action. And ego, we already have said that. That I am your loving servant, eternal servitor Krishna, Harinam. So please let me serve you. Yeah, that's ego. And surroundings, there's no question of surroundings anyway after we start the japa. But even in during the japa, if we get this thought of, people around, things around, each time we get a thought about any of these things, we just Krishnaize them. It makes our japa. So I would say it's like a speed pass for us. Whenever we can Krishnaize whatever comes to our mind in a way that we can be present for Harinam that we are doing, then that is moving in the right direction. Yeah. So this is what we can do inside the japa. I'm going to pause here. I'll just, in a minute, I'll just go over what we have discussed, and then I will open up for your talk. So we discussed about the significance of Harinam and uniqueness of the linga of Harinam, and we discussed about different levels of bhakti. In the superficial stages, it is more of aparadha and abhasa. And what do we do to get to more deeper and steadier level? We want to be grateful. And then outside the japa, it means 22 hours. These are the things that we can do to get our bhakti to mode of goodness. By doing this 22 hours, then it will be very conducive for our japa when we get to our 2 hours. So this also is going to be part of the equation of the japa, unseeming element. Okay, so this is what we can do to get our bhakti to mode of goodness, which can help us to do our japa better in those 2 hours. And this is during japa. How to get our japa better? From passion and ignorance to at least in the mode of goodness. This is all still in the mode of goodness only. We will come to deeper levels later, but at least to the mode of goodness, these are the things we can do. Krishna is everything, every element, body, mind, intelligence, ego, surroundings, people. Krishna is them. And take away the distractions from the body. The mind, mind is going to be distracted. So we want to thank Krishna when we notice there is a distraction and offer a prayer so we can be with Krishna in the Harinam. And intelligence is simply being with the Harinam, taking complete shelter of the Harinam. Okay? And ego is, I am yours, Krishna. Please engage me in your service. So that's what we have discussed today. Yes, please. It's all your time now. And